Welcome to the Dacus Report, hosted by Pacific Justice Institute founder and president Brad Dacus. For 25 years, PJI has counseled, represented, and defended people whose religious freedoms, parental rights, or sanctity of life have been obstructed or violated, all free of charge. We leave no one behind and level the playing field for Americans as they are subjected to the tyranny of the powerful. Now, here's Brad Dacus.
Welcome to Brad Dacus Live. I'm Brad Dacus, president and founder of Pacific Justice Institute. As many of you know, we have lots of cases in active litigation at PJI, 147 last I checked, and we're also involved working with state legislatures around the country and dealing with bills, dealing with religious freedom, parents' rights, sanctity of human life. So if you want to keep up with our cases, just go to pji.org. I want to make sure I get this in before I forget, pji.org, and help me talk about these cases and what we're dealing with, along with other cases. We have with us here our attorney who heads up our Southern California office for PJI, attorney Michael Peffer. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brad. Thanks for having me on.
Always great to have you. I know you're so busy. We don't get to have you as often as I'd like.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're not that far away, but yet you've got so much in the way of cases, litigation. So thank you for peeling away some time to be with us today. There's so much to talk about that we're engaged in. I know one right off the bat is dealing with a Christian mom up in Oregon. And this is one of our cases, and her teenage son was taken from her, not because she whipped the child or beat the child or didn't feed the child or whatever.
Right.
No, it's because as a Christian, she would not encourage and affirm the gender confusion that he reportedly was dealing with. She says, no, you want to call yourself a girl and girl's name and female pronouns? I'm not going to play into that. I'm not going to encourage that. And I love you too much, I'm not going to do that. And because she did that, the government came in, social workers, took her young teenage boy and put that boy with another environment, I'll just leave it at that, to mess him up for the rest of his life.
Yeah. You know, Brad, you and I have handled a bunch of these cases down here in Southern California. And
you particularly, I know.
This is something that must change. There must be something. And unfortunately, in California and Oregon is the same. They are so radically leftist on this issue and immoral on this issue that once the child is in the system, it's very difficult to get the child out, no matter what age they are.
Yeah.
So, in fact, we were talking before the show that I'm just finishing up with one that we've been working with this in the court, going in and battling issues for over 2 years, and so
that's how long it took to get the child restored back to her mother.
No, in this case, the child hasn't been restored back. We've just been able to mitigate some of the damages. And the child's going to end up aging out of the system. So in other words, they'll be...
The one in Southern California.
Yeah, exactly. But this one in Oregon, I've talked with Ray Hackey, our attorney there, several times about this. And it's a big deal. And I really appreciate, Ray stepping up to the bat here and really going to bat for this family.
Yeah, I agree. Ray's a really strong litigating attorney. My nickname for him was Bulldog.
Yeah.
Because he could just stare down. It doesn't matter if 1,000 people are screaming in his face. He'll still do oral argument with no problem.
Exactly.
He's a great attorney, so I know they'll have good counsel. But it's just so tragic to see this across the country these days. Families losing children, not because they're really being abusive, but because of their Christian beliefs and their real genuine love for their child. Yeah. That's why they're losing their children.
Yes, that's right.
And these states are becoming very dangerous for people to have families in. California, Oregon, Washington State, Illinois, all the New England states, New York, New Jersey. But even those that I didn't mention, those cases pop up too in Dallas and Atlanta and St. Louis.
Right. Yeah.
So, parents are really at threat. I know there's a resource that we have that could be actually probably very helpful to families who have just even the possibility, which all parents have the possibility
That's
of
right.
having their child taken, right?
Yeah, we have the 12 steps, what to do when the CPS comes to your door, the Child Protective Services, or whatever they're called in every jurisdiction. But it's a great resource that you put together. It really does help us out when this whole thing starts, because it always starts by somebody making either a complaint, some nosy neighbor making a complaint, or some a doctor's office or a school authority making some complaint to CPS, and then they're all too willing to come in and remove the child, and that's. This can't be the way we end up here in America. It can't. Parents have to have some authority to raise their children, which the Constitution actually gives them, to raise their children in a way that is conducive to their faith, to their values, etc.
Yeah, it is so important. And that's why, folks, I just encourage you, if you haven't downloaded it yet, whether you're grandparents or parents, it doesn't matter whether the children are in public schools or being homeschooled or private school. Every family in America should have this. And
That's right.
It's free on our website. We don't charge a penny for it. All right? There's no angle to this. We want to make sure you get all the information. Just go to our website, pji.org, and then click resources or parents' rights. You can go either way. And you can find this resource, 12 Steps to Protect Your Children from CPS. It's Child Protective Services in some states. Some it's called different names. Bottom line, it's social workers.
That's
and they're
right.
taking children by the thousands wrongfully from Christian families. And the thing is, so pji.org, please download it. If you don't have kids, you don't have grandkids, then still go there, download it, make copies of it, and give it to people in your church, families in your church. Just hand it to them. Hey, I understand you have kids. Hand it to them. Hand it to them.
Yeah.
Make sure that they're all aware of what they should do. It's so important. And, Michael, where I go to church, on more than one occasion, parents have been in crises, and they've talked to me, and I've been able to give them exactly what they need to have. But it's so much easier if parents have the information right up front.
Absolutely.
I think one of the main reasons why people don't download it and get the information is because they're believing the lie, and I'm calling it out as a lie, that they're not at risk.
Yeah,
They
true.
say, oh, that's for inner city people on welfare. There's a mom, no dad in the picture.
That's right.
High crime area. They say, I live in nice suburbia.
Yeah.
Our family, we have good jobs, good income, great area, low crime.
Yeah.
We don't have anything to worry about.
That's right.
And the reality is, the people we represent are just as likely to be in those nice neighborhoods,
That's right.
even rich neighborhoods.
That's right. And the problem is that once this starts, it's a cascading effect. Once CPS gets involved, things happen quickly sometimes. That's why you got to be familiar with this. I think every mom and dad should sit down and have a conversation between themselves. What are we going to do? It doesn't mean you have to be, oh my gosh, running and hiding. It just means it should be something that's considered like other hazards that befall children.
It's interesting. Some people also will think, well, you know what? I'll just, if I get called by a social worker or someone, they knock on my door, and then afterwards, then I'll look at it and I'll download it and I'll call Pacific Justice Institute. And the problem what they don't realize, the most critical thing that they need to do, the decision making, is at that initial point.
Yeah.
Where the social worker calls and says, hey, can I come by tomorrow? Or can I come by later today? Just want to talk to you. I just had this report. Just got to get it closed up. I'm sure there's nothing to it. Just got to go through the motions. The kind of things they say, give a false
Exactly.
sense of security. And then they enter the home, they interview the children, and then the parents say, well, gee, I wonder if we should call and find out. See, it's too late.
Yeah, you gave them information.
You get all the information that they need now to permanently take your child. Yeah. They need to know what to say and what to do ahead of time. 90% of it is right up front, knowing how to respond to that first call. Yeah. So, folks, I can stress this till the cows come home. I know probably only a fraction of you watching this show will take advantage of it. It just makes no sense. But I'm going to say it one more time. If you go to pji.org and download it, if not for yourself, then for the people in your church. You know, it's and if you don't go to church and you have no kids, if you can't go to church and you can't interact with people and you have no one you know that has kids, okay. But I don't think many people watching this show fall into that category.
Yeah.
I really don't. So anyway, I hope people take advantage of it. We need to love kids and protect them. Frankly, I would feel terrible if I knew I had this information and then someone lost their kids in my church.
Yeah.
And I knew for a fact that if I provided that information, that child, the odds are better than 98% that they will not lose their child if they use what we provide.
Right.
The odds are about 50-50 they'll lose their child permanently
Right.
if they just do what they normally usually do and don't use our resource.
Yeah.
And to have that on their conscience, I'll have it on my conscience for the rest of my life, knowing that that child and that family has been ripped and torn and that child has been placed in a horrific, maybe an LGBTQ, you know, two dads, whatever.
Yeah.
I would feel terrible about that. So anyway, there's something that people can do. Take advantage of it, folks. pji.org. I think I've rang that bell enough on this show. So
It's a valuable free resource.
Yeah.
It can be obtained easily without strings attached.
Yeah, and it's free.
Yep.
And there's no angle to it. You know, anyway. All right. There's something else really big that's happening, and I know we want to talk about this. It's coming down soon. Any day now. I think it's the next 2 weeks. We'll probably find out. You know, there's a number of important decisions coming down from the Supreme Court, but the one that I'm watching the most, and the one you're probably watching the most, is the case dealing with whether or not boys can be prevented from going into girls' sports by states. I know Idaho and West Virginia. We've been involved in this matter from the start. We helped them both pass laws that in legislation signed into law in their states saying boys cannot compete in girls' sports. This is challenged, as we knew it would be.
That's right.
And when it's gone to the Supreme Court, there was oral argument. We filed amicus briefs to the Supreme Court to make our case with the court. What's your thought about this case, and how do you think it's going to turn out?
That's right.
And that's what happens to most kids if just left alone.
That's right. That's exactly.
And yet the shrink, and I call them shrinks when they deserve it.
Yeah.
The shrink working for the state, that agency, said, "Oh no, get the girls so we can start the injections and cut off body parts as soon as possible." That is how dangerous psychiatrists can be. Not that they all are. There's some really good ones out there, and we've used them as experts.
Yep, that's right.
But they can be very, very, very dangerous. And I would say the majority are ones that I'd be very careful, and I'd pray with one eye open in our society today, because so many of them have drunk the Kool-Aid and are pushing this very harmful, dangerous activity. You know, we've got a lot of other really exciting cases to talk about. Folks, we're going to cover those cases when we return right after this.
At PJI, we exist to serve everyone in need of counsel, representation, and defense of their religious liberties, parental rights, and the sanctity of life. We don't take cases based on how high profile they are. We are workhorses, not show horses. Keep current on PJI's work on all the legal challenges we face on a daily basis by signing up for our Legal Insider email newsletter at pji.org. Now, back to the Dacus Report.
Welcome back. Now, folks, as I mentioned before, we have 147 cases in active litigation at PJI. And if you'd like to keep up with those cases or take advantage of our many resources, we talked about 12 steps in that wonderful article. You can it's easy. Just go to our website, pji.org, and you sign up to get our free e-newsletter. It talks about our cases, and it's easy, and it's exclusive. And you're going to hear a lot of talk about some things and cases that you're not going to hear from anywhere else. So it's very exclusive. It's presently without charge. You can presently download it for free. Just go to the website, pji.org. And also, by the way, if you have a case, if you have a need for assistance dealing with parents' rights against the government, sanctity of human life, religious freedom in the workplace, at school, at your church, etc., Please take advantage of the resources and go to our website and request help. We help so many people. We have 147 cases in active litigation, but in reality, we help thousands probably every year just getting help. So please do that. It's free, no charge, no angle. Just take advantage of it. We're here. And, Michael, it's interesting. Many people don't realize this, but one of the things that makes us so unique as an organization is that we have offices all over the country. Right now, presently we have 37 offices coast to coast. We have more offices than all other similar organizations combined times 3.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We're all over the country, and one reason we have to be is because we're also unique, and that we don't just cherry pick a few high-profile cases that are going to be good for fundraising, as I know others have done or do. We're very unique in that we want to work hard to make sure that everyone gets help, that no one's left on the side of the road.
That's right.
It's really a passion, a heart passion for ministry, helping people, and I think it's what Jesus would want us to do.
Yeah.
The story of the Good Samaritan, I said, leave no one on the side of the road. That's where that comes from, Jesus' Good Samaritan story. And that's what we want to apply, and that's what we try to apply all throughout our work across the country.
One of the things, in fact, this morning I attended it. I just want people to know, just from the background, we have a lawyers meeting every week that all the lawyers call in on a Zoom conference throughout the country. And, it's a good group of men and women that love the Lord and really want to see his kingdom advance, the Lord's kingdom advance, as well as people to be protected from the nonsense of the left, the nonsense of the atheists, etc. And it really is a neat group of people that pray together, that we have scriptural stuff. These folks are the real deal. They're the real deal.
They really are, and it's like a family, and so it's a great team. It really is, and they're really making a difference. Speaking of the Supreme Court, we at Pacific Justice Institute have not one but 2 case matters that are pending potentially before the Supreme Court. They haven't said thumbs up or thumbs down yet. We don't know. One of them is dealing with the mandate for the vax, and there's conflicting circuits on the issue of what's a reasonable accommodation or not. So our case, we appealed to the Supreme Court. Good chance they may take it up, because when you have circuits that disagree with each other, the neutral, the referee is the Supreme Court to say, okay, let me take care of this confusion. This is the way to go. So I think there's a good chance they may take up that case. But there's also another really big case that I think they may take up, and I'm hoping and praying that they will. And it's involving a Christian family in the Seattle area, and they own a Korean spa, which is very traditional in that it's only for either men or only for women, because they don't wear clothes. They have scrub downs. They have cold pools, hot pools, steam things, and all this stuff. But they don't wear clothes. And it's very important to them as Christians that you don't have a man going into the women's Korean spa for obvious reasons. So what happened in this case?
Well, unfortunately, the state of Washington got on their high horse and basically told them they had to admit a guy who was saying that he was a female or face the consequences for that. And it was a big deal for these folks, because it's not just a cultural thing, which is a big cultural thing for them, but it's also a religious thing for them. These people are godly people, and they want, if women are in there, they want them to be protected and to be able to relax. It's something that they relax in. So unfortunately, we had to go to war with this, and we're now at heading toward the Supreme Court. Hopefully, they take up our case.
Yeah, I hope they do. I think it's a very powerful case potentially, because we're dealing with the rights of private business owners not to have to do things that compromise their faith.
Yeah.
And the facts here are so dramatic.
That's right.
So you're saying the state of Washington, this is the government, not some, weird far left activist organization. This is the government of the state of Washington saying you have to let a man come in and expose himself, be lewd, arguably, to not just women who are naked, with no notice to the women, but even their young 13-year-old daughter.
That's right.
Who's naked and very insecure. Perhaps this is their first time in a Korean women's spa. And then in comes a man who's naked, staring at her. I would assume she would scream.
Yeah.
I know of a case up in Washington State at Planet Fitness. Not Washington State, up in Alaska. And one girl, young woman, this happened, and she just went into a fetal position of panic, of trauma and panic.
Yeah.
Planet Fitness, they moved on it. Yeah, they moved on all right. They removed the woman who reported what happened.
Yeah.
That's what they did. That's how they moved on it.
That's right.
And shame and disgrace on them and their franchise.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, but that's what I think would happen to a reasonable girl, 13. She's naked, and a man comes in, totally naked, sees her, and the fact that Washington State would allow this to happen at any time with no notice to anyone that's there, I think it would also put them out of business.
Yeah.
Because what reasonable woman or young woman would take that chance of suddenly being visually violated by a man who is sick, has a mental condition, assuming he's even sincere about his mental condition. He may just be a pervert who wants to look at women.
Yeah.
I mean, people say, how can you say that? Well, that's just facts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's face it, though. It's just like there's only two choices: mental illness or perversion.
That's it.
Or some reasonable cross of the two.
Yeah.
And the thing is that this has to be protected. You of all the places where you should be able to have segregated entry, it should be this kind of a thing, and they shouldn't be out of business simply because they just want it to be a female spa, or on the other side, a male spa for that matter. Although again, this is markedly a male issue because they want to go into these female spa. I'm sorry. Yes, there is mental illness involved, but nonetheless, that's how it manifests itself.
Yeah, and so we're going to bat for this Korean spa.
Yeah.
It's now, we filed a petition for cert to the United States Supreme Court. The lower court, the Ninth Circuit en banc, was split. So slight majority sided with the state of Washington because there's some Biden appointees and Obama appointees who are just sold out to that radical leftist cause of, anyway. So
one of the dissenters wrote an opinion that I won't get into.
Judge Van Dyke. Judge Van Dyke.
That was right between the eyes. I mean, he was just, the way that he described it.
He described visually. He says, so, da-da-da-da-da, this is what you're and then,
did.
And then the other side of the court says, oh, I think that's inappropriate in the decision. They said, it's inappropriate. You should use such language and terminology and vivid description. And he's like, really? He goes, so you can be so pious and elitist to come down with the decision impacting people in this way so dramatically,
right?
And yet you're offended that I even just articulated what exactly it is that you're going to officiate.
That's exactly right.
Really? He goes, you're that elitist and out of touch with the consequences of what your decision is actually about. I mean, he was brilliant.
One of the most classic dissents I've ever read.
It was so well done. Judge Van Dyke, God bless him. Great. He's that's the kind of people. He might have Scalia.
Yeah.
Scalia was just very straightforward. I'm never too busy to talk to someone who is seeking the Lord or just giving their life to Jesus. So, pji.org, pji.org. Our website's there. We're here to serve you legally and ministry-wise as well.
Amen.
Michael Peffer, thank you so much for being on the show. Always loved it.
pleasure.
Great job.
Thanks, man.
So, folks, there you have it. It's our God-given freedoms we're talking about. Now, let's choose to keep them. I'm Brad Dacus, president and founder of Pacific Justice Institute. Let's continue the fight for your freedoms.
We would love the opportunity to continue to serve you. Just visit pji.org and click the Legal Insider button to sign up for our email newsletter. At PJI, we help individual employees, employers, business owners, pastors, students, citizens of every stripe through our practical resources, counsel, representation, and defense, all free of charge at pji.org. PJI is an island of stability and assurance in our ever-churning sea of legal and societal chaos. We are here for you.
So, folks, just remember, it's our God-given freedoms we're talking about. Now, let's choose to keep them. I'm Brad Dacus, president of the Pacific Justice Institute. Let's continue the fight for your freedoms.